Hey guys, it's DRHD here today. I'm going to be telling you what to expect from the iPhone 6. So one thing for sure is that Apple is really going to need to step up its game. The Samsung Galaxy S5 and the HTC One are both coming out at that same exact time. So Apple is really going to need to advance its products so that the iPhone 6 really stands out. Also with that, Apple is also releasing their iWatch, which will put them ahead of the game, and with their new software and the new compatibility with the iWatch, it will set them above the bar to compete with the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the HTC One too. There's so many different designs out there that it's crazy to actually believe one, and so I just thought of two. No, I haven't thought of them. I saw them on websites and they were insane, which I thought would be really cool. I mean, one was the wraparound screen. I thought that was pretty insane, actually. That'd be they thought they were gonna put that in the iPhone 7, but I mean, I wouldn't really enjoy that. That's a really weird user experience to have a wraparound screen. But what I thought was really cool was the transparent screen, which would be awesome. Pretty much a piece of glass that pretty much displayed a screen, and then it was like a user interface in the piece of glass, which I thought was really, really cool. Obviously, that's not going to happen anytime soon, but I thought that would be a really cool addition. So getting into the specs, obviously Apple does want to incorporate a new processor. The A7 fit the iPhone 5S very, very well, and with the iPhone 6, they do want to incorporate a new one, but they would either evolve the A7 chipset or make a new quad-core A8. Both of these would mean more power with better efficiency, which would increase battery life. But talking about RAM, the iPhone 5S did only have 1GB of RAM, and the A7 processor ran that very, very well. So if they up the processor, that might mean that they will include 1 more gigabyte of RAM. Screen size is a whole different issue though. The Retina display is expected from Apple on the new iPhone 6, but there is conspiracy going around that the screen will enlarge, or that they will create just a smaller version of the iPhone 6 and a large version. This means that if they did increase the size of the screen, all the application developers would have to change the resolution to a better resolution to fit the screen. Also, the PPI would increase as well. What I think Apple should do is create a bezel-free iPhone 6, because there is little to no bezels on the sides of the iPad mini, and the fact that it doesn't track your fingers on the side of the device and you can use it with the other hand, I think that is just brilliant. And with that being said, with the no bezels on the side, the screen would enlarge, which means, like I said earlier, the app developers would have to change that, and the PPI would have to increase just a tad, just so the resolution is Full HD or Retina. What I think Apple really shouldn't do is create it 6 inches. A display of 6 inches is almost a tablet, and what people were calling it was a phablet, a phone tablet. And I think that would pretty much make the iPhone a iPad mini, and I honestly think that is pretty ridiculous to start an iPhone 6 at 6 inches, but saying that it is the internet, and what I would say is that's probably a 5% chance that that will happen, because Apple is smarter than that. What Apple is trying to incorporate is sapphire glass. It is 2.5 times stronger than Gorilla Glass, and I think that is a very smart thing to incorporate in the new iPhone 6. Only because the top phone broken on the market right now is the iPhone. It is very fragile, and I don't think that is good for the iPhone. That's almost a bad rep. So having the sapphire glass to make it more durable will, I think, greatly increase the sales. So with the storage of the phone, they are saying that there is going to be an option of 128 gigabytes. I think that is pretty insane for a phone, saying that 128 gigabytes, I mean, that's pretty hard to fill up. Like, I have a hard time filling up a 64 gigabyte iPod, and I mean, that's not holding all my iPhone apps and stuff, like my messages and phone calls, but 128 gigs? That's a lot of gigs. Apple claims that they won't go to a 12 or 16 megapixel camera, but Sony is designing a new glass to put on the front of their cameras, and that is making it more likely that the megapixel of the camera will probably go above 10. But what I would really like to see out of the iPhone 6 is with the iPhone 5S, it was only a 1.2 front-facing camera, and I think that is pretty ridiculous with all the other specs of the phone. I would really like to see them incorporate a better front-facing camera for all those selfie takers out there. There are many designs of the iPhone 6 out there, but many that stood out to me were the ones that are displayed here, which were very cool that they do have different sizes of the iPhone 6. I thought that would be a very good idea. If you wanted a small iPhone, you could have a small iPhone. That is just like customization of the Android devices. I think iOS isn't very customizable and they really should change that. That is why I am going to make a how-to jailbreak video and the ups and downs or pros and cons of jailbreaking your device. But moving on, if you wanted a bigger iPhone, you could have a bigger iPhone, similar to the Samsung Galaxy S4 or soon to be 5. It isn't that big, but if you did want that in an iPhone 6 form factor, that would be something great to have. Moving on to different styles, or similar to that style, is not even having a home button on the front side of the screen, which would be really interesting to see how that worked, because if you did have it on the side of the iPhone, that would be kind of frustrating for the people that did get already used to iPhones. That would be changing a whole different part of the iPhone. The main part of the iPhone that people click probably 400 times a day, probably 4 million times a day, is going to be on the side of the iPhone. That's pretty ridiculous. But you guys always do have to remember, these are from blogs on the internet, so none of this really could be true. But most of it is leaked from the actual Apple, or workers that are working on the new iPhone 6. One thing that I didn't mention earlier, but I do want to mention now, is Samsung is working with Apple on their new A7 or new A8 processor, which I think will help the speed or efficiency of the new processor. So that is essentially all that's going to be on the iPhone. I will be playing a series of pictures that will be pictures of the iPhone 6. These all could be, or couldn't be, pictures of the real iPhone. We don't know. These are designs that people have either designed or have been leaked to them. I will, in the description below, put all the blogs that I found all this information to. So if you do want to go check that out, and while you're down in the description, please like this video. So that pretty much wraps up all that's going to be in the iPhone 6. That is pretty much what is leaked out on the internet, and I have been doing research on what is coming next. So that pretty much sums up everything about the iPhone 6. And in the description below will be the forums that I found all this information on. And while you're down there, please subscribe and like this video. Please stay tuned for more videos about the iPhone 6 and stay tuned about the pros and cons for jailbreaking. So overall, thank you so much for liking this video, and please leave your feedback of the video in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.